Welcome to the CondoVultures.com podcast with your host, Peter Zalewski, a Miami real estate broker, Wall Street consultant, and expert witness. This podcast is focused on identifying real estate buying opportunities in the South Florida condo market of Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties. The CondoVultures.com podcast is not authorized by the South Florida real estate industry and will most likely annoy many of the region's talking heads. This podcast will feature straight talk and salty language that could be offensive to some. Please remember that past investment success does not determine future gains, especially in South Florida's volatile condo market. For more information, please visit CondoVultures.com.
Welcome to the Miami Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski. I have a company called Condo Vultures. Condo Vultures provides consulting services as well as expert witness work. We also have a brokerage which works on the buy side. So we use data on the consulting side to try to identify situations in the condo market in the tricounty South Florida area to help the buyer to purchase at reasonable and hopefully discounted prices. If you're tuning into this podcast, you probably come to hear our condo market analysis. It's going to be an overview of what's going on in the condo market, what's going on in the luxury condo market, what's going on in the distressed condo market, and finally the rental market. This particular week, we're going to be focusing on the area of Sunny House Beach in northeast Miami-Dade County. It is a community located on the Barrier Island, just south of Golden Beach, just north of Bell Harbor, and just east of Aventura. So right up there near the Broward County line. Anybody who doesn't know South Florida, there's three counties that comprise the area. You have Miami-Dade County to the south, Broward County in the center, and Palm Beach County to the north. So for this podcast, let me lay out some rules of engagement. Rule number one, all the information we're going to be discussing, it's coming from the multiple listing service. If you don't know what the multiple listing service is, it's a database that people with real estate licenses who join a club called a realtor association and then become realtors, they're then able to go ahead and use this database. Many people use it to list properties. So if a realtor gets a listing to sell a house, to sell a condo, it will put the information into the database, and other realtors will use the database to identify properties to show to their would-be buyers. Professor from Florida Atlantic University down here in the Tri-County, South Florida area told me based on some research that he's done, more than 80% of all the properties on websites such as Zillow are based on MLS data. Now, is it all of the real estate market, South Florida, or even the country? The answer is no. Why is that? Well, because a commission has to be offered in order for a property to be put in the multiple listing service or the MLS. Therefore, properties that are for sale by owner, properties that are being purchased with people who put up signs on the side of the highway that say we buy ugly houses, as well as rental properties. Those rental buildings, 100, 200, 300 units with a sign on the outside that says for rent, list a telephone number, or there's a person standing outside flipping a sign, trying to get drivers to pull over, come in, get some information, and lease a place. Those places typically are not going to be paying commission. Therefore, they're not going to be in the multiple listing service. So keep in mind, it's a simple, easy way to get a sense of the marketplace, but it's by no means the entire marketplace whatsoever. If you want the real data as to what's going on in the marketplace, the only way to get that is to go to government records and to go to the clerk of the courts in any of the counties in Florida. You'll be able to actually pull up the deed, see what the real transaction prices are versus the MLS, which is information based on individual within a brokerage who have access to the MLS, simply inputting that data. Because that data is being input by individuals, there's a lot of possibilities of the information not necessarily always being accurate and complete. So keep that in mind. Another thing to keep in mind too is when you look at rental data, the rental data, because no government document has to be filed, no taxes are paid on a lease. Therefore, it's virtually impossible to figure out what's going on in the rental game. So rental data is sketchy. Anytime you hear about some sort of trend in the rental market, chances are it's just the equivalent of licking your finger, holding it up and trying to figure out which way the wind blows. It gives you a sense, but it doesn't give you the entire story. So that's important to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind about the data, we're going to be looking at the first 9 months of 2022. I'm recording this in February of 2023. Why the lag time? Simple. Transactions that are completed for properties, it takes some time for the people within the various brokerages to go ahead and enter the data into the multiple listing service. We typically give it at least a month. So the final year 2022 data That's going to be released later this month in February, so late February. Now, I want to point out to you, if you're listening to this podcast at any of the traditional platforms that provide podcasts such as Apple or Google, we actually give you the ability to watch our podcast. You go to a platform that provides for video related to the podcast, such as Spotify, you'll be able to actually watch the podcast, or you can go to YouTube and just simply watch the entire podcast. Our handle is going to be Condo Vultures TV, Condo Vultures TV. Now, if you're watching the podcast, you're going to see charts where basically summarizing everything I'm going to be discussing. If you're listening to the podcast and you want to get a sense or pick up that chart, it's real simple, easy way to get it. You can go to condovulturesrealty.com, condovulturesrealty.com. Look for the market intelligence prop, and there you'll get all of the charts that I'm referring to for this podcast, as well as previous podcasts, as well as all those podcasts going forward. Or you can simply go into the description of this podcast and we'll provide links to all the various podcasts. One final point, keep in mind, if you have any questions for us, please send an email to inquiry@condovultures.com, INQUIRY @condovultures.com. And there you can get a hold of us and we can respond. So we'll take the commercial break. Other side of the break, we're going to get into the condo market in Sunny Isles Beach in Northeast Miami-Dade County.
It's a simple formula, and it works. Buy low, sell high. We're Condo Vultures, and when it comes to your real estate, we help you buy low. At Condo Vultures, we represent the buyer, and now's the time to buy. Log on to condovultures.com for more information. Condovultures.com. And remember, before you sell high, you have to buy low. Featured in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, 60 Minutes, and Time Magazine. Condo Vultures Realty, a licensed Florida real estate brokerage capitalizing on the condo correction since 2006.
Welcome back to the Miami Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski from Condo Vultures. For this segment, we're going to talk about all condos that are in Sunny Isles Beach. Again, Sunny Isles Beach is going to go effectively from the Golden Beach border on the Barrier Island in Northeast Miami-Dade County, all the way down to Haulover Beach or Bell Harbor, one and the same. The eastern boundary will be the Atlantic Ocean. The western boundary will be the Intercoastal Waterway. This is a community for the longest time was primarily comprised of schlocky little hotels. They were two-story hotels. They were primarily rented out to snowbirds. Those who couldn't afford to go to Miami Beach, they would opt for Sunny Isles Beach. Over the course of the years, primarily in the last 25 years, what's happened is many of these two-story oceanfront schlocky hotels, they've been knocked down and replaced with 30, 40, 50-story towers with luxury condos. So when we talk about condos in Sunny Isles Beach, we're going to have the new oceanfront condos. And we're also going to have the condos on the western side of the Barrier Island, in front of the Intercoastal. Those would have been built in the 60s, the 70s, and even the 80s. So this particular segment deals with all condos. What do we got going on in the condo market in Sunny Isles Beach? Just under 750 condos are currently for sale. 750 condos are for sale. The average asking price for one of these condos, $2.6 million a door, $2.6 million a door, and $1,016 a square foot, $1,016 a square foot. If you watched any of our previous podcasts, you're going to remember me saying this. When you look at condominiums, you have to consider a condominium to be a commodity. When you look at a house, you have to consider it to be a work of art. What do I mean by that? Well, typically within a condominium, all of the layouts in a particular line, 01 line, 02 line, 03 line, they're all going to have the same layouts. The views would be different, but only based on heights. So when you're looking at a condo, everything is very predictable. Some owners might over-approve a unit, thinking they're going to get more money back. Reality is, because it's a commodity, chances are they're not going to get that money back. And how do you figure out pricing in a condominium, especially based on the floors? Well, when I work and do consulting for developers, we typically suggest anywhere from a $5,000 to $15,000 premium paid as you go higher and a decrease as you go lower in a particular building. So all the pricing is simply math. It has nothing to do with anything like you would have in a single family house. The only exception might be when you get into a penthouse in some of these condos. Why would that be? Because maybe the ceilings are higher. Maybe there's a little bit more square footage because you could have roof space that would be available. But generally speaking, condo is a commodity. Now compare that to a single family house. A single family house in a community, it could be located on a various different locations within a community. Maybe it's close to a school. Maybe it's close to a religious organization. Maybe it's close to the road, the main road. All these things are going to factor in terms of the value of that particular property. The other thing is the shape of the lot. Is it a standard lot? Is it somehow unique? Does it have more trees? Does it have foliage? Does it not have foliage? Also, too, how many floors are in the house? Is it 1 story? Is it 2 stories? Is it 3 story? All of these characteristics are going to make a single family house unique versus a condominium, which is virtually all going to be the same. So when you look at a condominium, focus on price per square foot. The same way when you're going to buy gas, you pull up to an intersection, there's 3 or 4 different gas stations. And unless you have some sort of rewards program and an affinity for a particular gas station, chances are you're going to buy the cheapest price per gallon. So that's how you should think about condos when you look at the marketplace. When you think about houses, completely different story. So as mentioned, the average asking price for a condo in Sunny Isles Beach, $1,016 a square foot, $1,016 a square foot. And then finally, these condos that are for sale, they've been there an average of 168 days, 168 days for a condo on the market in Sunny Isles Beach. Now, what about pending sales? Those properties that were listed for sale and are currently under contract, 72 are pending. Average asking price for those pending condos, $1.6 million a door, $1.6 million a door. How much is the price per square foot? $691 a foot, $691 a foot. And how many days have they been on the market from the time they were listed, including the time they're under contract? 65 days, 65 days. Now, finally, transactions, first 9 months of 2022. How many condos traded in Sunny Isles Beach? 1,055. And what was the average transaction price? $1.3 million a door, $1.3 million a door, or $661 a square foot, 661 a square foot. And the units that traded, they traded in 100 days. Now, the days is important because it's a telltale sign of what's going on in the marketplace. And also reflects what is the pessimism of the buyer versus the optimism of the seller. So those condos that are for sale in Sunny Isles Beach today, they're there an average of 168 days in counting. Keep in mind, once a property goes under contract, it's typically going to take 30 to 60 days to close. So 168 days is how long they've been on the market. Compare that to the condos that actually traded in the first 9 months of the year. They traded in 100 days. So there is a disconnect going on between what sellers want and what buyers are willing to pay. Now, how do you reflect that disconnect? Look at the premium or the spread between the average asking price for a condo at Sunny Isles Beach and the average transaction price. Right now, that difference is 101%, 101%. So that's double. What should it be? Well, what we found over the course of the years, and I've been doing this, I've had Condo Vultures since 2006. What we found is typically when there's about a 20% spread between the average asking price in a building or a market versus the average transaction price, you tend to get some activity. That's really kind of the fat that's built into an asking price. And that's what's typically negotiated down. What we find is typically 8 to 12% is what a deal starts to get done between that average ask and that average transaction price. So at Sunny Isles Beach, you got a 101% difference. That suggests sellers are outrageously optimistic about what they are seeking in their prices. And that's why the days on the market is really sort of reflecting that. Now, price per square foot, again, the more critical element to track, 54% spread, 54% spread. So 2.5 times what it really should be in order to get some sort of activity. And then how many condos traded in Sunny Isles Beach first 9 months of the year? 117 a month, 117 a month. How did I come up with that number? I simply took the number of sales, which is 1,055, divided it by 9 months, and I come up with 117 transactions per month. Now, this sales pace, if you divide that into what's currently on the market, which is 748 condos, you're going to come up with 6.4 months of supply, 6.4 months of supply. Why is that number important? Well, because it's leaning towards a buyer's market. Equilibrium is 6 months. Anything less than 6 months is considered a seller's market. Anything more than 6 months considered a buyer's market. So we're moving towards a buyer's market in Sunny Isles Beach. So despite what you're hearing about a tight real estate market in South Florida, tight condo market, Sunny Isles Beach is leaning towards a buyer's market, which might surprise some people. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take a commercial break. Other side of the break, we're going to get the luxury market, condo market of Sunny Isles Beach.
This is Peter Zalewski of the Condo Vultures podcast. I hope you're enjoying the podcast. And I wanted to alert you that if you have a property that you're looking to sell in the Tri-County, South Florida area, I would encourage you to reach out to Jenny Cortez, a licensed real estate broker with CVRrealty.com. She's my partner. She's been in the business for north of 15 years. More importantly, she knows the market. She knows how to get a deal done. And she also realizes that it's more important to get a price that you can accept and sell the property rather than to hold firm on some price that's never going to be achieved and ultimately languish on the market. So if you're looking to do a deal that you want a skilled expert who can help you sell a property, reach out to Jenny Cortez at 305-865-5859, 305-865-5859, or visit her website, CVRrealty.com.
Welcome back to the Miami Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski from Condo Vultures. For this particular segment, we're going to focus on luxury condos in Sunny Isles Beach. If you've ever spent any time in South Florida, whether you're new or you've been here quite some time, a term you hear thrown around quite a bit, or a word, a description you hear, is luxury, 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 luxury. What is luxury? Who knows? Nobody knows. But the word is used often to try to make something seem like it's greater than it really is. Keeping in mind, real estate professionals, they get paid based on a transaction price. So if they can build something up to be luxurious or more expensive, therefore they're going to make more money. So luxury is something to sort of discount, but everybody likes to use it. So what we said is, okay, let's figure out a way to track luxury properties. We came up with an arbitrary number, and that number being $1 million. So if a property is listed or trades for $1 million or more, 7 figures, we're going to deem it luxurious. If it trades for $999,999, we're going to say it's not luxurious. Simple as that. $1 million is luxury. Everything else under that is simply standard or par for the course, if you will. So let's get into the luxury market in Sunny Hills Beach. Currently 421 luxury condos for sale in Sunny Hills Beach, 421. Average asking price, $4.3 million a door, $4.3 million per door. What is the average price per square foot? $13.95 a foot, $13.95 a foot. How long have these properties been on the market? 195 days on average, 195 days per average. What about pending? 31 luxury condos are currently pending in Sunny Hills Beach. Average asking price for those condos that are pending, $3.2 million a door, $3.2 million a door, or $1,081 a square foot, $1,081 per square foot. And those properties that are pending, so they were listed and they are under contract waiting to close, they've been there only 76 days. So you can start to see a disconnect between appropriately priced properties and how quickly they transact or begin to transact versus those that are just way too expensive. Now, what about final transactions? First 9 months of the year. And as mentioned, this is January through September. We'll be coming out with the final year-end data for 2022. We'll be coming out with it in late February. 405 luxury condos traded in Sunny Hills Beach first 9 months of the year, traded an average of just under $2.7 million a unit, $2.7 million a unit, or $1,037 a square foot, $1,037 a square foot. And how long did it take for them to be listed, go pending, and be able to contract and ultimately transact? 133 days, 133. So if we compare those units that traded that were appropriately priced and traded in 133 days, you compare that to the luxury condos that are in the market today. They've been sitting there an average of 195 days. Plus you add that time that it's going to take once they're under contract and to close, you're looking at somewhere in the vicinity of 250 days. Keeping in mind, there's 30 days in a month. So luxury condo market isn't exactly on fire right now in Sunny Hills Beach. But let's look at the spread. Let's look at the premium that luxury condo sellers are seeking versus prices that are being put on the board in terms of averages. 60% difference between the average asking price for a luxury condo in Sunny Hills Beach versus the average transaction price. Should be about 20%. Typically, when that 20% is squeezed to about 8 to 12% difference or premium, that's when you tend to get some activity. So Sunny Hills Beach luxury condo market is about 3 times more expensive than it really should be in terms of transaction pace. What is the price per square foot? About a 35% spread in terms of where it should be, which is 20%. And then ultimately you'll probably get done between 8 and 12%. How many luxury condos traded per month in Sunny Hills Beach first 9 months of the year? 45. How did I get that? I took the total number of transactions, divided it by 9 months, which is what we're checking, come up with 45 transactions per month. Now, if I take that 45 transactions per month, I divide it on what's currently in the market, which is 421 units, I'm going to come up with 9.4 months of supply, 9.4 months of supply. Remember, equilibrium is 6 months. Anything less than 6 months, seller market, anything more is a buyer's market. So the Sunny Hills Beach luxury condo market is a buyer's market, which means the buyer has the advantage from a negotiation perspective. Now, some luxury brokers out there are going to say, well, that's not necessarily an accurate number simply because somebody's selling luxury, get $1 million or more. They have more money than God and they don't need to sell. They'll only sell when they get the appropriate price. If you believe these people, you're going to also believe that equilibrium should be 12 months or equilibrium should be 18 months. However, the rule of thumb is 6 months. So if you were fully in line with the luxury brokers of 12 to 18 month supply, that you would consider this a seller's market for luxury condos. If you go the more traditional way of 6 months equilibrium, this is a buyer's market in Sunny Hills Beach. We're going to take a commercial break. Other side of the break, we're going to get into the distressed condo market in Sunny Hills Beach.
This is Peter Zalewski of the Condo Vultures podcast. Before I started doing these podcasts, I was in the business of being a licensed real estate broker, a contributing columnist for the Miami Herald, as well as the Miami Real Deal, but also extra witness work in consulting. So If you are looking for an expert witness, or if you're looking for consulting services, a straight talk perspective as to what's going on in a particular marketplace, a building, or what happened previously, for whatever your situation is, whether you are an attorney, whether you are a institutional fund looking to invest, or whether you're a lender who's trying to come up with some sort of a strategy and approach for your lending committee going forward, I just might be able to help you. To get a hold of me, please reach out to Peter@condovultures.com. That's Peter@condovultures.com, or give me a call to the office at 305-865-5859, 305-865-5859.
Welcome back to Miami Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm Peter Zalewski from Condo Vultures. For this particular segment, we're going to take a look at what's going on in the stress market in Sunny Isles Beach. So the stress breaks down into two categories. There is the short sale, and there is the real estate owned, REO, bank owned, or foreclosure. It's all one and the same, but short sale and REO is basically the way it breaks down. What is a short sale? A short sale is a situation where an owner who has a loan is going to come up short of repaying the lender, and will try to sell the property at a price that will be less than what the loan amount is. Forget how much the seller is going to lose personally, but it will also mean a lender will be losing on one of these particular deals. Now, typically with a short sale, the reason a lender will play the game and go through with a short sale is the lender doesn't want to go through the 9 to 12 month process for foreclosures in Florida. Could be longer based on whether or not it's a primary residence and there's a certain protection given to it called a homestead, or it possibly could be shorter. But there's also the possibility of all this time with no payments being made, as well as any damage that might occur within the unit. During the Great Recession, a lot of properties were basically stripped of materials on the inside because the people who were losing the properties figured, screw it, let's go ahead, let's try to sell anything we can to give us some money on the way out because we're losing the property anyways. So that is a short sale. A bank will cooperate with a borrower to sell a property for less than what the bank is actually owed. Now, those properties where somebody simply stops paying and a short sale buyer is not brought in and goes through the foreclosure process will come out of the other side of the court process and be controlled by the bank. It'll be called a real estate owned, it'll be called an REO, it'll be called a bank owned, or it'll be called a foreclosure. So those are your two categories. Now, what's going on overall in the Sunny Isles Beach distress market? Again, REOs and short sales together. Currently, there's only two properties available for sale, two distressed properties available for sale. Another one is pending. In the first 9 months of the year. 4 bank owned and short sales traded in Sunny Isles Beach. 4. So if I take the 4 that traded, I divide it by 9 months in the first 9 months of the year, which is what we're tracking. I come up with 0.4 distressed condos trading every month in Sunny Isles Beach. 0.4 is the transaction pace. Divide that on what's currently available, which is going to be 2. I'm going to come up with 5 months of supply, 5 months of supply. Not really enough to make a market, but I want to be able to give you those statistics. Now, let's drill down. Let's get into the short sales first, and then we'll follow suit with what's going on in the REO market in Sunny Isles Beach. Currently in Sunny Isles Beach, 1 short sales on the market, 1 is on the market. The asking is $343,000 for that unit, $343,000 for that unit. On a price per square foot basis, $278 a square foot, $278 a square foot. You can see a big discount off of the average asking price. And the days on the market for the short sale, 191 days, 191 days. How many are pending? 1 is currently pending, 1 is currently pending. And the asking price when that property went pending, $280,000, $280,000 on a price per square foot basis, $435 a square foot, $435 a square foot. And the one that's pending, it went pending on day 1. It's only been on the market 1 day and it is already pending. And then finally, how many short sales traded in the first 9 months of the year in Sunny Isles Beach? Zero transactions. Because there were 0 transactions, we're not going to be able to look at the premium or the spread between the average asking price and the average transaction price. We're also not going to be able to look at how many traded per month in the first 9 months of the year. And we're also not going to be able to look at supplies in terms of short sales in Sunny Isles Beach. So we're just going to bypass that. Now, let's get into the REO side of the Sunny Isles Beach condo market. 1 unit is currently available for sale. 1 REO is currently available for sale in Sunny Isles Beach. What is the asking price? $185,000, $185,000. And what is the average asking price per square foot? $451 a foot, $451 a foot. How many days been on the market? 8. So 8 days on the market. How many are pending right now for REOs in Sunny Isles Beach? 0. So we will bypass that category. And then finally, transactions. 4 REOs traded in the first 9 months of the year. 4, they traded an average transaction price just under $1.4 million, $1.4 million. Now think about this, $1.4 million the average transaction price. That means this is not a mom and pop situation where somebody, there was a change in health, there was a change in family status, or a change in job. There was some other issue that forced that person to lose a property. We're talking about luxury condos that had traded in the first 9 months of the year, 4 of them in Sunny Isles Beach. So obviously the condo market is not as strong as everybody would lead you to believe if people are losing condos that are valued at $1.4 million. Now, what's the average transaction price for these REOs that traded? $689 a foot, $689 a square foot. How long did it take for them to trade? 48 days, 48 days. So you can see there must have been a discount involved because the buyers jumped in and took down the properties immediately. So you can see this is a rapid fire type of marketplace. Not a lot, but those properties that come up, there tends to be buyers waiting in the wings. Now, what's the difference in terms of the premium being sought on one of these REOs or in the market today versus what traded, but actually is only one? About an 87% discount, 87% discount. Remember, 185 is the asking price for that one unit versus the 1.4 million is what the unit's traded for. What is that? The premium on a price per square foot basis? About a 35% discount, 35% discount. How many REOs trading in Sunny Isles Beach per month in first 9 months of the year? 0.4 units, 0.4 units. I came up with that number by taking the 4 transactions, dividing it by 9 and coming up with 0.4. If I divide that into the units on the market today for REOs, which is 1, I'm going to come up with 2.3 months of supply, 2.3 months of supply. Keep in mind, equilibrium is 6 months. Anything less than 6 months is a seller's market. Anything more is a buyer's market. So the REO market in Sunny Isles Beach is a seller's market, but that should not be a surprise. Why? Because when a lender takes back a property, they're trying to recoup some of the money that was lost. Therefore, the lenders will do a slow release of their properties to try to take advantage of strong demand for bank-owned properties, which have a perceived and oftentimes a real discount associated with them. So that is the distressed market in Sunny Isles Beach. We're going to take a commercial break. Other side of the break, we're going to get into the rental market.
Don't buy a South Florida condo, discounted or distressed, before taking a Condo Vultures correction tour. CondoVultures.com offers weekly bus and walking tours that focus on educating buyers on the how-tos of identifying discounted condos, analyzing the opportunities, and purchasing units. Every tour attendee receives a list of all condo projects in a particular market, a market assessment handout, and unmatched expert analysis. For more information on the condo correction tours, please visit condovultures.eventbrite.com.
Welcome back to the Miami Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski from Condo Vultures. I want to remind you, if you have any questions for us, please send an email to inquiry@condovultures.com, INQUIRY at condovultures.com. Also want to remind you, if you want to see any of the charts that I'm referring to, so all you have to do is simply go to the description in the bottom of the podcast, or you can go to condovulturesrealty.com, condovulturesrealty.com. There you look for a prompt called Market Intelligence. And finally, if you watch the videos podcast, whether it be on Spotify or any platform that provides for video podcasting, the charts will be embedded in the video. Another alternative is go to YouTube. Our handle is Condo Vultures TV, Condo Vultures TV. That being said, let's get into the rental market in Sunny Isles Beach in terms of what's going on. Keep in mind, as mentioned, anything in the MLS is going to have a commission. And as a result, all of the rental data I'm going to refer to is only going to be those properties which are listed and commission being paid. But many landlords who hold multiple units, they don't want to pay a commission. They would prefer to hire an in-house leasing person or two, pay them $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year, have that person or persons handle all of the leasing and therefore bypass the commission, which is 10%, generally speaking, is the asking price. 10% of the gross annual rent is paid out in commissions to be split 50-50 by the listing agent as well as the agent bringing in the tenant or the renter. So what we're going to refer to is simply what's listed with the commission being paid is not going to include all the properties. What are some of the properties not included? Those properties that have a big 4 rent sign on them with a telephone number. Those properties which have somebody standing in front, flipping a sign, trying to get drivers to pull over, walk in, and sign a lease. Those properties, generally speaking, are not going to be including in this data. So this data is not complete. It's not meant to be complete. It's meant to give you an idea of what's going on in the marketplace. The other thing to keep in mind is because the rental market is so diverse down here in South Florida, What we do is we're going to rely on median number instead of average. Why would we do median? Simply because properties are rented on a variety of different length of term down here in South Florida. Some will be rented by the day or the night. Some will be rented by the week. Some will be rented by the month. Some will be rented by the year. So rather than going through all of the rental data and trying to compare apples to apples, we're simply going to take anything and everything that's out there. And we're simply going to go with the median number, which will be the number right in between. And by the way, everything I'm going to refer to in this rental data, it's going to include everything except single-family houses, everything except single-family houses. So what is that? That's going to be apartments. That's going to be condos. That'll be efficiencies, multifamily, as well as townhouses with no single-family market. So what do we got going on in the Sunny Isles rental market? 567 for rent, listed for rent, 567. The median asking price, $6,500 per month. $6,500 per month. What is that on a price per square foot basis? $4.45 per square foot per month. $4.45. How many days have been on the market? 83. 83. During the heart of the pandemic, you were seeing rentals basically go under contract within days, if not weeks. Now we're looking at 83 days and counting in Sunny Isles Beach on a median basis. What about pending leases? 74 currently pending in Sunny Isles Beach. The median ask price when these places went on the contract, $2,995 per month. $2,995 per month. What is that on a price per square foot basis monthly? $2.98. $2.98. And those that are pending, how long have they been available and under contract? 35 days. 35 days. And then finally, first 9 months of the year, how many places were rented in Sunny Isles Beach? 866. 866. What did they rent for? $4,700 a month. $4,700 a month on a median basis, which works out to $3.45 a square foot per month on a price per square foot basis. $3.45. And how many days on the market? 36. 36. So think about that. The places that rented in the first 9 months of the year, they lease in 36 days. The places that are on the market today, they're sitting there 83 days, not even under contract, but they're sitting there 83 days. You can see there's a disconnect going on in the rental market in Sunny Isles Beach. And keep in mind, we're at the peak of the winter buying season, which typically stretches from November and or Thanksgiving in the United States all the way through April or so, which is Passover and Easter. So we're at a moment where the market should be extremely hot. But what we're finding is there's a disconnect and people are renting places as quickly as they had been. Why are they doing it? Chances are maybe there's not as many people down here, or the prices are out of whack and the renters don't necessarily think they're worth it. Now, what is the spread between the median asking price today for a rental in Sunny Isles Beach versus the median transaction price in the first 9 months of the year? It's about 38% difference on a price per month basis. 38% difference. What should it be? About 20% difference. 20% is typical when you start to see people looking at a property and say, okay, that's reasonable. Let's see if we can negotiate them down. When these people negotiate them down, they typically pull the trigger when there's a difference or a spread of about 8 to 12% off of the premium, 8 to 12% off the premium. But 38% is where we stand today in Sunny Isles Beach in terms of price per month on a median basis. What is it price per square foot basis? About 29%, about 29%. Where should it be? 20%. So you can see still way inflated in terms of what landlords are asking. How many places rented per month in Sunny Isles Beach first 9 months of the year? 96 a month, 96 a month. How did I come up with that number? I take the 866 I rented divided by 9, and that's how I come up with my 96 units a month. This is going to be my velocity. This is my pace. Now let's take that 96 a month. Let's divide it what's currently on the market, which is 567. I'm going to come up with 5.9 months of supply, 5.9 months of supply. Now, what does the 5.9 months of supply mean? Well, it means we are on the brink of equilibrium for the rental market in Sunny Isles Beach. 6 months is equilibrium. Anything less than 6 months is a seller's market, meaning there's nothing to choose from and the seller can demand what they want. And more than 6 months suggested it is a tenant's market or a renter's market. And that renter is going to look to negotiate, and the landlord doesn't really have a lot of say in it. So right now, it is slightly, barely a landlord's market in Sunny Isles Beach, but it's moving towards, because we're at the peak of the winter buying season, it's moving towards ultimately becoming a renter's or a tenant's market in Sunny Isles Beach. And I would venture to guess as we go forward, you're probably going to see the rental market softening, just like we're seeing the condo market softening in Sunny Isles Beach. So that's an overview of the Sunny Isles Beach marketplace. We talked about condos, luxury condos, distressed condos, and we also talked about rentals. Hopefully, it gives you a great perspective on what's going on. Again, remind you can listen to the podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts. You want to watch it, go to a platform that provides for video, such as Spotify, or go to YouTube, where our handle is going to be Condo Vultures TV. If you have any questions for us, send us an email, inquiry@condovultures.com, inquiry@condovultures.com. Until next time, thanks for tuning in. I'm Peter Zalewski of Condo Vultures. Much appreciated. We'll catch up with you very soon. Ciao, ciao.